Oklahoma's going to Tuscaloosa. There's a lot of players and coaches on this Alabama team that remember what happened last year. Kind of I'll call it, I guess, that sort of nail in the coffin, for like that resume that didn't get you into the college football playoffs. An Oklahoma team at home dominated you physically. All right. Will that be the case this year? This Alabama team is more talented from top to bottom. There have been some instances where they've gotten, out physicaled. Week 1 was a weird game. Obviously, they get out physicaled, but then like the weather starts turning and it's like tough to come back in that kind of weather. But Ty Simpson's been playing phenomenal football. You got some change in the secondary that seems to be working out pretty well for you. You got some really nice weapons at receiver. They're spreading the ball out. They're running the football sometimes. I mean, last time they kind of gave up on Jam Miller. I don't know what the deal was there. I am very interested in this football game. John Mateer, obviously, since the surgery, hasn't been playing perfect football, but what better time than now, right? Back against the wall. I mean, this is a real opportunity here for Oklahoma to have another statement win. I mean, this is one of the toughest schedules in the entire country that you're looking at. Do you start looking at this Oklahoma resume, CD? And do you start, especially if you win this game, do you start looking at some of the other teams in college football and start going, all right, well, can we get in with 2 wins, 3 wins? I think you can absolutely get in with 2 wins, but what are the conversations that are being had if you win this game?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you talk about the schedule. We talked about this back. It seems like every time you talk about Oklahoma, you have to bring up the schedule at some point, especially early in the season and back in the offseason. We looked at this murderer's row down here at the end of October and in November with Ole Miss at Tennessee, at Alabama, and you finish the season off with Missouri and LSU. All of a sudden, it looks a little bit less daunting with Missouri onto a backup quarterback and with LSU, of course, firing their head coach and everything that's gone wrong for the Tigers in that season. So you win here, and all of a sudden, you're going to be favored at home, probably by 5 points, 6 points at least, against these teams that you're going to be playing against. Not guaranteed wins, not by a long shot, especially with the style of play that Oklahoma has and some of the inconsistencies on offense. But this is massive. It is not getting the attention it deserves. I think everyone kind of expects, Oklahoma, that's right, they lost to Texas and Ole Miss. They're kind of done. I think people wrote them off because of the schedule, and they're like, well, they're not going to sweep the rest of the way, so it doesn't even matter about talking about them. Let's just move on. But they absolutely have a chance to win this football game. Like, all of a sudden, you got a running back in Xavier Robinson that's putting in work for you, which is massive. John Mateer, Alpha bye week, as healthy as he has been probably in months, which is huge. Hoping that wide receiver core getting more and more healthy to try to go after a really good defense in Alabama, especially in that secondary. We know this Oklahoma defense is damn good on all 3 levels, more so in that front 7. What does worry me, I think, is they have been exposed at times in the secondary. Now, Joey Aguilar had 400 yards against them. A lot of that was late, too, so I can't really count that. But they couldn't run the ball, right, Tennessee. And Aguilar had 2 interceptions. So Oklahoma shut down the run, and they were opportunistic. And that caused them to put themselves in a spot to win this football game. Ty Simpson looking for a Heisman moment. Love to see. You got Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Brooks. 17 is a really good football player for Alabama. He's the next in the line of elite wide receivers coming out of there. He's got different kind of bursts. I don't know what to expect from them running the football. I don't expect them to run the football at home against Oklahoma. It should be a great game here. I like Alabama in the spot, and I don't love it at all. I'll tell you that. Now, it makes me think, you talked about a lot of the staff and those players that remember last year, the beating you got. You talked about the nail in the coffin. It feels like this season has been a little bit of that like revenge tour from Alabama. I think of the meme from the Grim Reaper going from door to door to door, and I picture Vanderbilt's logo, I picture Tennessee's logo, and I picture Oklahoma's logo on there from last year after what all those teams did to them in games that Bama should have won, right? That they were favored in on the road, and they just didn't get it done. To me, they got the revenge against Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, got the revenge in the third Saturday of October, and here they will again against Oklahoma, newcomers in the SEC, put a nail in their coffin in their season and ending their playoff hopes here, probably, assuming chaos doesn't happen. But I have a hard time believing Oklahoma at 9-3 with your best win being at Tennessee. Don't know if that gets you in, but here we are. Give me the Tide.
I think Alabama's going to win this game, but I think Oklahoma keeps it close. All right, we'll pick this at 6.5. I think Oklahoma covers, but I think Alabama wins here. I worry, right? As great of an offensive coordinator, I think Ryan Grubb is as great of an offensive mind. I think Kalen DeBoer is, as well as Ty Simpson is playing right now. Like Brent Venables, like in this defense, have been. I know you talked about the secondary being susceptible, particularly in recent weeks, but it is like they can be an offense's nightmare. They really can be. They have talent all over the place, a great coaching staff. And the problem is too, like if you don't get rolling with Ty Simpson early, the beautiful thing is that, this team is obviously conducive to playing from behind, but like what do you do like when you get up? Right? I think Alabama can run the ball. I know that they didn't have success with that at all against LSU. I know for a fact that they did not have a lot of success against South Carolina with that. I think some of it's, part of that's abandoning the run game. Some of that's your run game getting shut down. I worry, I guess, a little bit their ability to run the ball if they're up in this game. But the fact that it's in Tuscaloosa, I think, gives them a little bit of an edge right there. And Ty Simpson is just an incredible football player. And obviously John Mateer is a really good quarterback as well. Like that is a guy that can go into your crib and absolutely mess some stuff up. And think about Alabama too, like I don't think that Auburn game is necessarily a layup, as it really never is. I mean, of course,
No,
you're going to
especially
Jordan
the interim
Hare.
coach. Yeah, no, thank you.
Interim coach at Jordan Hare. I mean, now you got Ashton Daniels.
Quarterback. Oh. And guess what? The best wide receiver on the field. Now cover your ears here, Alabama. It's gonna be on Auburn. So
yeah. So this is a big game for both these teams. They're going to be fighting tooth and nail for sure. I don't love picking Bama to win, Oklahoma to cover, because it requires a very thin margin of error there. But Alabama was my national championship pick preseason. I'm going to stick with them, but I do think Oklahoma keeps it close.
Yeah, one thing I will say is you brought up Brent Venables. They're off a bye too, and he is a guy that there are a few coordinators or play callers, offensive or defensive, whatever you want to call them, that do scare me coming off a bye, and he's absolutely one of them. In addition to, I talked about Mateer getting healthier. If you tell me you get 100% Mateer, like, yeah, this all of a sudden, I think that line shrinks a little bit, and I think that's a really, really nerve-wracking spot to be if you're Alabama, because we have seen quarterbacks make a name for themselves beating Alabama, right? How many? And John Mateer would be a very good quarterback. There's been much worse quarterbacks do things to Alabama. Now it's of course
Stephen
different coaching staff. Yeah. I mean,
the Bo Wallaces, the Chad Kellys.
Bo Wallace,
Chad Kelly had some dog in him.
He did, but come on. Yeah, listen. It's a really intriguing game. I think it's not getting enough attention nationally that it probably should. And the unfortunate spot is, I think everyone expects Oklahoma to lose, and they lose, they're just going to write them out and write them off in college football playoff talks. But the reality is, it's a huge year for Venables, and I think it's still been a success. I think it still has been a success, especially if you finish 9-3 in whatever order you go. I want to ask you this here. Now, of course, you can't really just predict it because there's a lot of other variables that happen in here. But what happens if you beat Alabama and you split the last two games against Missouri and or LSU? And I think it would probably have to be Missouri as opposed to LSU because you can't lose your last game. And I think it would be harder. But let's say you go Alabama win, Missouri close loss, LSU win. Would they have an argument? I'm not saying would they be in or not. Would they have an argument for the playoffs? One
I
of the
think they
best
could have
wins
an
in the
argument.
country.
I think, yeah, I think the argument is there. You have one of the best wins in the country. In the SEC, you always talk about good losses, right? You don't really have a bad loss there, although Missouri's not a great looking loss after what we saw from Matt Zollers, just this past week.
Yeah.
LSU, of course, like that would be a better loss, but not even though, because like
the name,
I don't think
the name carries weight though. Missouri probably beats LSU to. Ooh. Yeah.
I don't know, but I think LSU wins that
Zollers.
football game.
Yeah.
With the Zollers is leaving a bad taste in my mouth. Now, granted, Mike Elko had a week to prepare for true freshman quarterback in his first start, so that definitely had something to do with it for sure. But Matt Zollers, there was a stretch where he was like, he had completed 3 passes like in that first quarter, and then like didn't complete one for like the rest of the half. It was like ridiculous. Like he was not good. He was not good. But I don't think they get into the playoffs. And honestly, I don't think there even should be an argument for them to get into the playoffs. I get that there will be, and I can see the argument, and I can see the Oklahoma fans, start rambling off like Michigan, Tennessee, Alabama. Those are all great wins. I think you need to win more to deserve a spot in the college football playoffs. I really do.